What is up, everybody? We are back.
You got to finish the intro, man.
Yeah, keep going.
Today we are talking with Seth. According to Seth, we've set up this little interview. Hey Seth, how you doing?
Doing good. I think you guys are hosting the interview, but
Brandon is. I'm not.
right.
Yeah,
I'm just.
We
I'm
got our
just peanut
last
gallery.
we got our last stop in Yuma County mugs. We're ready.
Why,
Eric's got the
Seth? Why
hat.
do we have these?
Yeah.
Why do we have all this merch?
I don't know, but that's what we're here to talk about today. And
Is
obviously you
last stop
already
merch.
exactly. But I'm joined by Eric Foss here and Brandon Pickering to talk about Sell Your House. How are you boys
Woo.
doing today?
Not bad.
Doing good, man. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm glad we're finally doing this. And I know we kind of brought this up already, but the first time I met you guys, I was 6 feet underground in a coffin, and that was all because of you guys peer pressuring me. So
Oh yeah. If it were up to me, you'd still be down there. I'm
that's
joking.
just rude.
No. Yeah, dude. You did what nobody else wanted to do. You got buried alive at Fantastic Fest. We were all
Were
too
you,
scared.
Seth? Were you the only one that did that? Because I had left. I had to go back to work or something, so I didn't get to.
Yeah, you
I didn't
left. You
get
didn't
to
get to
see
see it.
it. Yeah.
He missed the most important part of Fantastic Fest. It
Wait. So
was
first
not
of all,
disappointing.
why did that happen? Second of all, were you the only one being buried at Fantastic Fest?
No,
And
there.
third, what what happened inside your head?
So okay. So first of all, I wasn't the only one. There were like other people who like wanted to do it. I was just the last one to get buried alive.
Ooh.
Um,
Okay.
but what went through my head was, I don't know. Honestly, it kind of seemed like a fun idea at the time. And then I had like Brandon and Francis and a few of the other guys like freaking shouting my name
We
to
were
just do it.
peer pressuring you. Yeah, and then we were just trying to really rub it in
Yeah.
that you were down there.
You
So
guys
I
were
didn't,
completely sober through all this, right?
Unfortunately so.
yeah, unfortunately.
More so for Seth than everyone else, probably. But
What if I told you that it wasn't that bad? Like the scariest part was is like I could hear you guys screaming, but like you guys couldn't hear me saying anything.
no,
So it was
not a
kind of
thing.
like relaxing in a way, but not
Just
really.
knowing that life was going on and you had a hall pass to just be dead for 10 minutes.
Right?
That's
Listen,
awesome.
it could have been worse. They had an option where you could do blood sausage, where they like apparently
Yeah.
drew your blood, put it in the sausage, and you would eat it. So
What?
yeah, you missed
Which
that
the
one.
only reason we didn't get you to do that one is because we only found out about it too late.
Yeah, it was
Or else
close.
you would have run the whole gamut of
No
everything.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was vegan sausage too, if I remember
it
correctly.
was.
Which does your blood make it non-vegan? Who I don't know.
I would assume so.
Dude,
Maybe,
that's
I guess.
bonkers. I
It
kind
was
of
kind of
want
bad.
to go back in time and do that.
Do
Should
you
have been
really?
there.
You
Like I
don't want to.
said, you missed the best parts. You saw the Yuma County screening and you missed the real
Yeah.
meat.
I missed the fun. I went for work and then I went to other work.
Boring work.
Yeah. I'm
Well,
trying to figure out how to stop doing that.
obviously I met you two at Fantastic Fest, and now Francis is off to do the freaking Evil Dead, which is so sick. Wanted to start this thing off with that. What is your guys' favorite Evil Dead film?
Oh, good question, dude.
This is gonna be wait,
This is for Eric.
let me just go first because you're about to find out. I'm gonna embarrass myself because I don't think I've actually seen an Evil Dead movie.
I didn't know that.
I'm
Oh
because
no.
I'm the worst. Like I don't watch movies very often. I've been trying to like fix that, but
Yeah.
maybe I should watch one. No, I have to
Gonna watch
watch
one
Tickle
more.
tonight.
Gonna watch Sell Your House, and that's
Yep.
gonna have one more. Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, sorry
You
to
can see
disappoint
over
you,
there, I
Brandon.
have a lovely little, I have an Army of Darkness poster right there,
Oh,
but it's
that's
not my
amazing.
favorite. I love the original, man. Um, like I used to think that the second one was like the end all be all, and like I love it and it's amazing, but the first one is just there's something about it that's just like it's like perfect, and it feels low budget, and it feels like a bunch of buddies got together and did this thing, and it's great. I also shout out to Fede's
Yeah.
Evil Dead from 2013 because I think that one is also like amazing as well.
That one's my favorite. I think that
Oh,
one's
really?
it's so good. And
Dude,
it's just go ahead.
I just think it's super underrated. Like
For
I
sure.
don't think it gets the love, like the raining blood at the end and the chainsaw arm, like through the car, and that's just amazing. It's
Dude, that
amazing.
the effects of that and seeing her arm get ripped out. Ugh,
Good. So good.
so
So
good.
good.
Eric, go watch that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, watch that one first.
I'm gonna watch 50 First Dates tonight, actually. I think.
Instead.
You guys, it was a tough sell, but yeah. I'm
You
more of
don't
a
like
comedy
Blood Rain?
guy.
You don't like Blood Rain?
Dude. Yeah.
Only
Eric
when it happens in
enjoys
real
it.
life. I do like self uh blood sausage from my
Yeah,
own arm. I do
that's
think
cool.
that's cool, but only when it happens in real life.
I have the movie for you.
Oh
It's Evil
God, it's Evil Dead.
10. Yeah, right.
Listen, there's always this year for Fantastic Fest when we can all get blood sausage. Okay.
It's true.
I had this thing where when I arrived at film school, I sat in like a few classes and I had this like horrible realization that as people were like referencing The Godfather and like all these classic movies, I had this horrible realization that I had never seen any movies. And so I'm ever since then, I mean, that was 15 years ago. Uh, Ever since then, I've been slowly trying to catch up. So
Not quick
yeah,
enough.
tonight will be another. I haven't caught up on horror. I think that's
Mm.
I've watched a lot of the classics at this point. But anyways,
There's a lot of good ones.
we should keep
Eric,
in. Yeah, I'm embarrassed for myself. So
yeah, I think we're all a little embarrassed for you as
yeah,
Right?
I
well.
can tell.
Did you end up seeing When Evil Lurks, Seth?
I
From
did.
Fantastic, speaking of Fantastic Fest?
I did see it. I didn't even know it
Yeah.
was playing at Fantastic Fest until like after I left.
Yeah.
Same with the
I,
coffee table.
right.
Uh,
Great.
yeah, dude,
Kid getting mauled by a dog. What's
that
not to
part
love?
that part was rough.
Dude, it's like it comes out of nowhere and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, and it's just like the way that the dog just walks out of the house holding
Just
her.
like
Yeah,
it's
and
it's a great movie though. I had a great time.
dude, that director, I think he just hates children.
I
Demian
think
Rugna.
you might be right. There's a lot of children having some rough times happening in that
Yeah,
movie.
his first movie that he did, I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Afflicted, maybe. But he did another horror film, and he also kills a kid in that movie. And I'm like, sir, what are you doing? Do you hate
Working through
children?
something. He's working through something. You gotta let it happen. Gotta
Yeah,
figure
that
it out.
don't watch that one, Eric. If you don't like horror, that one's gonna be a little rough.
Yeah, it's a tough intro.
Maybe I should like jump in with the sharks though and just like get it all like give me the
Yeah.
list of the I did take a class that was all sex and violence in film, and so we watched like Sallow and Irreversible and like all the
Oh,
things that like, and it was on Thursday night, which is party night at USC, and
Oh no.
so like I would like watch these horrible movies and then I'd just be like sitting on a
it's
couch nursing a beer. People are like, "What
bad.
is wrong with that guy?" I'm like, I just watched the most fucked up movie you possibly could watch.
I couldn't
And it
finish
just got
Solo.
worse every class.
Yeah,
You
I couldn't
what?
finish. I couldn't finish Solo. That it was too much.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to leave. They locked the
They
doors.
locked the doors and
Yeah.
I hope they didn't make you watch a Serbian film.
oh, that's a high school classic.
It
I don't
was
think we did.
good. It was the worst thing I've
Yeah.
ever seen.
Yeah, it's not a yeah, that was one of those that like we like torrented it because it
Yeah,
like wasn't available back and when it came out and like we all like sat at a buddy's house and just had a real bad time.
yeah. It was the same
Yeah.
for us. We didn't know what we were getting into, and I've been trying to purge it from my memory ever since.
Right. It's tough. It's tough to get out.
So getting into your guys' movie now, what was it about the last stop in Yuma County and like James's story that made you guys want to document the whole thing and like make this incredible documentary?
Well, I was hanging out with Francis. I've been friends. I think I met Francis in 2018. I shot a music video for a band he was in at the time called Insecure Alex. And my friend was a keyboardist in that, and I was in a band with him that way back in the day. And he was like, "You should talk to Francis and like get to know him because he's also getting into filmmaking." So we had coffee and kind of just, I mean, like most people with Francis, right? Like he just makes friends. Like it's not no trouble for him. But so amazing guy. We started hanging out a little bit, and started working on each other's films together. And a few years down the line, we had dinner at his house and we were hanging out, and Last Stop was going to happen. Like James had sold his, like this is like we just blasted through like 2 years of backstory here, but like uh it was like Last Stop was happening and then it wasn't happening, and then like Bruce Willis was in it and then he wasn't in it, and then like Vince Vaughn was in it and then he wasn't in it, and then Nick Cage was in it and then he wasn't in it. It's like back and forth. And then James sold his house. And so it's like it kind of felt like the same thing, right? Like as other people not being in it, or being in it and then not being in it. Uh, so anyways, he was like, it's actually happening now. And I'm like, sure it is. He's like, okay, well, what are you gonna do on my movie? And I was like, we do the same job, dude. Like, I can't go like also direct your movie. It's like if you need a grip, like I'm happy to help out, like or a PA, whatever, like just to like hang out and like whatever. I'll fill ice chests. Like I know what ice is. Um, and so we're shooting the shit a little bit, and I had just finished my first documentary, and it was a short, and he was like, what about a doc? Like that, he's like, I love watching like behind the scenes, like featurette type things on like Blu-ray extra special features. And I was like pretty resistant to the idea because there's a I don't know how much I want to get into this, but there's a weird thing that happens when you document somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I like when you get to like keep like arm's length from it. Like for example, like Brandon and I work on a show called Naked and Afraid. You show up, you never know those people. They come in, they do their survival challenge, and then you don't really ever have to talk to them again if you don't want to. But this is like has now become one of my best friends, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to like get into that kind of, like it's just a hard situation to be in with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately was kind of resistant to the idea, but then we kept talking about it, and like the idea grew, and I was like, maybe we should. I mean, like James is selling his house, that's insane. And then Jim Cummings had just signed on. I'm like, that's cool. Um, so yeah, and then I thought about it. I talked to some other people about it. Deborah Smith, who's our producer, was one of those people before like a year before she came on. She encouraged me. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe I should do it. So then, yeah, that was kind of that was the, that was how it all started, was just dinner at Francis's house and shooting the shit. And then now 3 years later, oh no, that's like maybe 4 years later now.
Oh yeah. Oh,
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a
oh.
while.
What about you, Brand? How'd you get involved in all this then?
Yeah. So like Eric said, we worked together on Naked and Afraid, and I
Mm-hmm.
met him in 2020. Really great year for
For
TV.
life.
Mm-hmm.
But really good year for Naked and Afraid, which was shooting like that whole time. So yeah,
They
I was
care about people's lives.
yeah.
That's the moral.
And so yeah, he was like, "Hey, yeah, my buddy's like doing this thing, and Vince Vaughn's maybe gonna be in it." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, it's this cool script and whatever." And I was like, "I'm sure that'll happen. Everything seems to be shooting right now." Cut forward 2 years, I'd worked with Eric on a couple of other shows and stuff, and I followed James on Instagram, local boogeyman. And I was a fan of his brand and everything, and suddenly I saw that he was posting Eric.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Hey, this guy's doing some cool BTS stuff." Like, I was like, "What?" So I like immediately texted Eric, like, "What is happening? Like, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, you wanna help me do this? You wanna like show up on this set and help me make this thing? Like, you're gonna lose a lot of money." And I said, "Yeah, that sounds great." And he said actually like a couple hours go by. It's like, "Actually, no, I can't get you in. Sorry, there's like too much going on. We can't get that many people on set." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine."
Yeah, they had like a
Um,
pretty tight cap where they filmed at Four Aces.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was sitting there defeated. But I was like, okay, let me know if I can help out in any other way, whatever. Then like he finished, end of the year comes, we had this like Naked and Afraid reunion party at Eric's house. And he was like, yeah, man, I still need help making this thing. I have all this footage and I need to figure out how to turn this into a thing. I was like, sure, dude, let's do it. And
Mhm.
here we are, like, what has it been? 2 years later, and I haven't left my house, just editing this movie. So yeah, it's been fun. I'm
It's
enjoying.
quite the journey.
Yeah, and it's been crazy to see
And it's
like
still going.
everything happen with like the reception of Yuma and like Francis
Yeah.
getting Evil Dead and all this stuff, and like it's blown up really, it both fast and slow. It's
Yeah.
like it's felt kind of quick, but also it hasn't been quick because it's been this journey, and it's exciting though.
Francis just has a way of, like you said, making friends with everybody. He's awesome. So it's so cool to see like all of this come into play, and especially seeing like the backside of all of this because it's something you don't normally see. So like it's really cool that you guys filmed this whole experience.
Hmm.
Sure. I mean, you were there for some of it,
Yep.
Seth. You're part of it. I think you
You're
probably
in
have
the
a
movie,
little.
dude.
I think you're gonna be popping up here and there.
Let's go. I remember I had to sign a form for you guys, so I'm all
Yes.
ready
Well,
for
that's
it.
exactly it. You signed the release now, so
Yeah,
there's nothing you can do. You're
So
exactly.
now we can make you look like an idiot. There's nothing you can do about it.
Maybe
But it's
this
okay because I look like an idiot in this movie too.
it's fine. We were all young. We didn't know what we were doing.
That's exactly right.
We were all young. Um, this question might be more for Eric, but I'm sure Brandon, like looking back at the footage, this definitely, something might have come in. But do you guys have a favorite moment, looking back through all of the footage, something that really stood out to you and one where you knew that like this was going to be a hit and this was like worth the endeavor? And I
Wait, can I
guess,
answer for Brandon first?
yes.
Please.
Brandon likes all of the things that make me look like a total fool. And I every time I watch a new cut of whatever half Brandon's working on, there's always a new thing that makes me look like a complete idiot. It's like he's like, "Oh, Eric tripped over that cable right there, and the
Put
DP
it
is making
in.
fun of him.
The
It's
people want to
going
see it.
in." It's like there's a point where Mac was like Mac's the DP of Last Stop. There's a point where Mac was like, I like trip over a C stand or something because I'm backtracking and trying to talk to Mac. And he's like, don't be the story, Eric. And Brandon's like, yes, I need to
Put
put
it
that
in.
in
Great.
somewhere.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Don't be
Happens
the
every time.
story.
I love it. Don't be the story. And he is, though, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
For
That
Eric more.
So what's my favorite part, Brandon?
Eric loves it when I put him in the movie looking like an idiot. He loves it.
Yeah, I love that.
No, Eric, what moment on set sticks out to you? I actually have never heard this.
The last day on set, there was a very big, well, it's in the trailer, so I can say there was a big explosion that they did. And that was and there was a lot of other shit happening. So like they were gonna blow this thing up, and uh it was also extremely high winds. And so when you have high winds, like you can't do big effects like that
Mhm.
practically. And there was like the fire marshal and stuff was out, and they were all kind of like, oh, I don't know. So it was a very, very tense day. And that is exciting. Like my favorite thing, the reason why I've gone into like more docu follow stuff is I love to improvise. Uh, and I'm not good at like a stage. I'm not like a comedian. Like I'm not very good at like thinking really quickly on my feet with words, but I'm good at the like camera, like physical body stuff that
Mhm.
allows me to improvise. So yeah, I get a lot of gratification out of that. And so when a lot of like really intense things are all happening at once, which it was on this explosion day, and me trying to follow it with one camera, and like people are like quarter mile away from each other. So I'm like running back and forth, and trying to follow all this all at the same time so that I can like, and I'm cutting my head, right? And just like worried that I'm not getting it. Like that's to me, that's the ultimate. It's like when a lot of crazy shit's happening and I feel like I'm doing a bad job. That's my favorite.
I feel like that's, whenever you're backed into a corner, I feel like that's when people like some people thrive in that environment. They love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like being really stressed out and scared
Yeah.
and like close to tears. That's if I could do that every day, it'd be good.
Dude,
So you,
that's Sell Your House.
yeah,
That's what
Yeah.
we're doing.
that's also why you should watch more horror if you want to be
That's
scared and cry.
a very good point.
Um, what was obviously, like you said, there was a lot of wind. Francis said, when they filmed that he dealt with rain and different things like that. What was the biggest challenge making this documentary? And did this also like the stuff that affected Francis's film? Did that also hinder what you were trying to do?
So all the stuff that affected Francis's film in a bad way affected Sell Your House in a very good way. Um, that's part of the problem, right? Is
Hmm.
like being excited about your thing that's messing up your friend's life. And so I think that actually was the hardest thing for me was sort of trying to figure out how to reconcile making my movie good versus I don't know, like trying to like support my friend at the same time. And he made it super easy. Like I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I felt like I had more access than on this project. And Francis deserves a lot of credit for that, and James as well. Because a lot of times people can be resistant to like everything you're doing.
Hmm.
Um, and they make it a lot harder to like be in the moment and like really like so that the audience can feel like they're actually like going on the journey with you. Um, but yeah, the hardest part for me was managing sort of that relationship side of stuff. I mean, like it's in the doc, but like there's multiple times where me and Francis like get into it, and then of course Brandon's like, "Oh, I'm gonna put that in the documentary." Like I cut it all out, and he's like, "No, that's going in." So yeah, it's like Francis is this is the first time I've ever been on a set where every single person there is there for a completely different reason than I'm there. I'm there to make something totally separate, and they're there and they're working together to achieve a goal that has nothing to do with what I'm doing. So that just in that like contradiction or whatever, or that paradox, whatever you want to call it, exists friction and you know, need for compromise and just problems arise in that kind of like, whatever headbutting type situation.
I feel like Brandon probably was loving watching all this footage back.
I love it. I probably, if we're being honest, I probably haven't even watched all of the footage yet. There's just so much.
I
Um,
haven't either.
yeah, it is so tough to wrap your head around all of it, but the moments that shine are the moments when Eric looks like an idiot. And I have made my point to find as many of those as I can.
Yeah.
Without you being on set, was there any difficulties with that, Brandon? Like obviously now you're editing everything.
Yeah, I think Eric had a pretty good rundown of like sort of this is the things that we want to focus on initially because there's like a few bigger days,
Hmm.
you know. And that in some of those involved like some guns on set and some like Eric saying explosions and there was some rain that sort of messed things up a little bit. So he was sort of like, let's lock down these big moments.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, from there I sort of like jumped in and was like, okay, let's find it was finding the bits in between those bits was where I think I came in and sort of like cherry picked like, okay, there's a little bit more to this and putting Eric in it a little bit more where I think initially he was like, I'm not gonna be in this at all. It's like, well, it comes across Eric's friendship with both Francis and James comes across really well, I think, and sort of helps I think adds like an interesting dimension to this movie where you don't really see that with many like behind the scenes documentaries, But as far as like hardest things, just so much footage, just so much footage, and just sort of going through all of it and trying to make notes of all of it, and
I
um,
have let me see how many days we have right now. I'm literally looking at uh,
and
so
we had help. We had like an assistant editor come in and help, and she helped like tremendously.
we have 44 days of footage.
Oh wow.
Uh, and I mean, usually it's about, um, I don't know, I would say average 5 to 6 hours a day of footage. And then I can't do math, so,
That's
but
a lot of sifting.
Yeah,
a lot of sifting,
that's
yeah.
literally all it is just sifting.
It's like I like to use the metaphor of like it's a giant block of marble and you're just chipping away at it one hammer stroke at a time.
So obviously then since you guys are holed up here and you're on the editing phase, if you're stuck inside editing all this for 6 to 8 hours here, what's your go-to snack? What's keeping you energized?
Uh, Coffee in my last stop in Yuma County coffee mug is a great way of going about it.
Eric, what's your snack?
Snacks. I mean, I'm pretty vanilla. I do like chips and salsa and dark chocolate.
That's a good combo, honestly.
That is
I
actually.
don't like to admit this either because I like every other day I quit, but cigarettes are also a little snack that I just threw away another pack this morning, so we'll see how
Wow,
long
I think
that
that's the
lasts.
third pack this week.
In this week,
Eric
yeah,
has
Oh no.
Eric has broken up.
thousands of thrown away cigarettes.
Okay, it's good. It's good for you.
I
We need
know.
you here for the long haul, Eric.
Well, like
It's
I figure like every time I throw away a pack, that's at least 2 cigarettes I don't smoke, right? Before I
Yeah.
buy another pack. So
It's two less cigarettes.
yeah, exactly.
So I know one of the points of this film was kind of to like show what it's truly like making an indie film. What is it about, indie filmmaking that makes it so difficult? And what do you think is the biggest challenge of that, especially even for like making this documentary?
Um, we've been like wrestling with this question in the documentary.
Hmm.
It's like one of the subjects that we're trying to tackle, and it's such a hard question to ask because uh, first of all, uh, when somebody calls something an indie film, there's like many versions of that.
Hmm.
So like you could like people call like Wes Anderson films indie films. And then people call have you ever even heard people call like Scorsese films indie films? But uh and then there's like sort of this middle tier of like it's like what like $5 or $10 million projects that they're like indie horror and they have like an A-list actor, and the reason they do that, as I'm sure everybody knows, is so they can like sell the thing and make their
Hmm.
money back. And it's like they're just making a product and they're just trying to make the thing, sell the thing, make money, make the next one. And then there's like this tier that Last Stop falls into, which is like this ultra low budget. And uh that to me is like actual indie films, kind of like same thing as Clerks, same thing as like what's another example, Brandon?
I mean,
I mean, all of
Terrifier.
them. Terrifier are the new ones coming out, right? That are
Yeah.
kind of that really low budget thing. But yeah, it's very different between now and like when Clerks came
Hmm.
out, right? Just because, yeah, it's become a lot tougher to make movies in that range.
So then like you when you're in that range, this like Last Stop, Clerks, whatever world where it's like so you're self-financing, right? So James sold his house to finance this thing. The reason he did that at the end of the day was, yes, because he loves Francis and he believes in him, and he's building a community and a team for future projects. but also because they have creative control.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go at this low, super low budget, self-financed, yes, no one's really getting paid, but you're making art and you're making exactly how you want it, and there's no one telling you what to do. You have complete creative control, and I don't think people realize how rare that is. It's um, super hard to find a situation where that's possible because movies are so expensive. And yeah, and it's just a rare thing. So
A lot of it is just making sure, and I think it goes for Last Up as well. It's like once you've made it, like how do I get people to see it?
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Because there's a bunch of different ways to do it, but they don't all necessarily mean, it's actually going to get out there.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah, so there's a weird thing that Francis says in the doc, which is this could be like a excellent movie, and people are giving me a lot of really positive feedback, and that's really nice. But there's a world where at the end of the day, nobody gives a fuck and nobody's going to see it. Obviously, we now know that that wasn't true, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have seen Last Stop, which is awesome. Um, but that's always that is the rare story, right? The Last Stop story is like that's kind of rare that that happens, where people actually see an indie film. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, to Brandon's points, like you can make a great film, and but the question is like, are people going to find it? Like, is it going to be discoverable? Like, I don't. Me and Brandon know how to make movies, but we don't know how to get people to watch them. So I guess I mean, that's when you like hire people who know what they're doing, but
Listen, I'm gonna
for
share the
no
shit out of
money.
this. Okay.
Seth,
I am gonna
you're hired.
share. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I'm gonna share the shit of this. We'll make sure people see this thing because I mean, you guys showed me a clip of it and it seems so cool. And I love that we're looking into the backstory of everything. And it's a more like intimate, personal look at to like how you make a film. And
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and there's something that Francis told me recently, which was I think it was right. So he's seen a rough cut,
Hmm.
which we were very afraid to show him, and he actually liked it, thankfully. But right before he saw the rough cut, he was seeing some of the promos and things we were putting out, and he's like, "There's something about this story that is really nice because it includes like a relationship between Francis and me."
Hmm.
And I think that might be the unique perspective or that unique lens that we're finding, thanks to Brandon putting in all the stupid stuff that I did. Um, and and yeah, so um, yeah, I hope that people can like connect with that because it really is just a bunch of friends coming together and like trying to make things.
Yeah.
And there's like a purity to that, and there's also like an added layer to like the stakes, I guess, when you're also trying to maintain you're doing something really hard and also trying to maintain relationships.
It's just one giant family.
Yeah, right. And families fight, right?
Yep. And everybody, and I've met, like, I went to the premiere, I saw you guys there, and I met, like, the whole, most of the cast, and everyone was just so friendly. And, like, I was not expecting that, honestly. So it was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, everyone just from like, seeing the footage alone that I've seen, like the cast and crew was like, yeah, it was like summer camp,
Yeah.
and then being able to meet them in person, it was weird, right? Because I've never met them, but I feel like I know them
Yeah.
just from like editing hours and hours of footage. So I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna like go up and like be like, hey, how you doing? It's just like, I gotta keep a distance for a bit. But yeah, no, it's really was. It seems like it was just a big, you know, hangout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Drama in
it
between.
is the best experience on any set I've ever had, and I wasn't even making the movie with them.
It's so
Um,
awesome.
it was a weird magical 4 weeks. And I think that has a lot to do with the people on top. I think Francis, James, Matt, Atif, they all facilitated this environment that allowed for people to love each other,
Hmm.
and to like build relationships. And I don't know how to, honestly, I don't fucking get it. But they did it, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. Even just to like have given people 4 weeks of a good time, even if they didn't have a good movie to, to show for it. That even just that is, I think, worth it.
Yeah. Last couple of questions because I don't want to keep you guys forever, but I did want to ask
Well,
you.
you're allowing us to procrastinate from editing,
Good.
so please ask as
Needed
many
this
questions
so
as you
bad.
want.
Good. I know you guys have kind of brought this up a few times that, Francis have told you guys, giving you feedback, things like that. Was there ever a moment when filming the documentary when you noticed Francis did something like really incredible when he was directing, something that either he said to you guys or your witness, looking back at the footage that was just like so incredible that kind of like help you fine tune your own craft for future films, something that you took from him? Was there a moment that like impacted either of you guys?
Yeah, there's a lot. Uh, it's hard for me to admit, but I think I've been trying to make movies for like, at this point, I think maybe like probably like 10 years longer than Francis.
Mm-hmm.
He was a musician. He was like a extremely good drummer, still is. He was playing in like punk bands and touring and all this shit. And then he transitioned to film. And while he was drumming, I was trying to be a filmmaker. And so I kind of like have a weird, and Last Stop taught me this, or Filming Celery House taught me this. I sort of have this like insecurity, because I've made so many bad movies. Um, and when I ended up on set, I sort of had this like jealousy of like Francis has only been making movies for 5 years and he's already making $1 million feature film. And I was like not willing to admit to myself that I was jealous, but like looking back on it, like I definitely had this like jealousy
Mm-hmm.
for my friend, like of my friend, which is fucked up. And as we went on, I was started to be able to like admit that to myself, and I even talked to him about it. And then we immediately were like, we got to put that in the documentary. But yeah, so the jealousy started to fade when I started to see Francis direct.
Mm-hmm.
So Faison says this in an interview that Francis is like, some people are like born to do this. Francis is born, like, he is a very good director. There's something about him. It's this weird combination of he's seen 1 million movies, more movies than anyone I've ever met. I don't know, maybe you rival him, Seth, but
I'm trying to.
it,
I've seen his collection. It's deeper than mine.
dude, it's bonkers.
It's
Yeah.
nuts.
That's in the movie too. Uh, so yeah, so he's seen more. He's like extremely well educated on the history of cinema, and he's neurotic enough to care about every detail. And then third, he's just a very easy person to get along with, and communicates well. And those three things don't often exist in the same person. And yeah, he's just so yeah, there's just like there's moments where I was watching him and I'm just like, he'd walk away from the monitor, and he's in my ear, by the way. So
Mm-hmm.
he's wearing a mic, right? So, and I have an earpiece, so I can hear everything he's saying. And I'm listening to him direct, and I'm like, how the fuck did he pick out those 10 things? Like sometimes it's like literally 10 things, and remember all of them while he's like, when I direct, it's like I'll remember two things and I'll be like, fuck, what was the other thing? Like every time, every time I go for an adjustment. And he literally just knows the 10 things. And he's like, this is like week 3 when he's exhausted. Like he's still doing this like day in, day out. Uh, and and then somehow I think this is the most important thing. If any like new filmmaker wants to be, a good director, this is the most important thing. And that is he gives a shit about people. He cares how they feel. He cares how he affects them. If he, sometimes he would bark a little bit, like not even close to as much as really anybody. And then he would like within 5 minutes, he'd walk over to the person, he'd give him a hug, be like, "I'm sorry, dude. Like I know, blah blah blah. And he would just make everybody feel good all the time. It was like every day, everybody felt like Francis was their brother.
Hmm.
Like that's his talent is he's very, very good with people. And it's because he he just loves people. He just wants them to be happy and he wants people to enjoy the process of this thing that he's making. And he goes out of his way to make sure that happens. And you could say the same thing for James too on set. He's just like, you know, if someone was upset, he would take him aside and he would help them out and he would try to it's like that. Matt and Acha too, like they all really care about people, and I think they I think that was a conversation they had together before making Last Stop is like we need to prioritize people.
Yeah.
People first, then movie. And it might be kind of backwards way people might think it's a backwards way of thinking of it, but I think that's how you make a good movie. I mean, obviously there's prep and all this stuff you got to do, but like
Yeah.
people first, then movie.
We love James and Francis. I'm gonna just send them this like little tidbit here. We love you guys.
Dude, totally though. Like, yeah, really, like it comes across just watching them work together and like making it, it's not an accident that it all felt like a summer camp that they were
Hmm.
all hanging on set, right? Like it was an effort from the people at the top and
Yeah.
they succeeded. Like it comes across.
Was there anything that you took away from it, Brandon? Like looking at the footage now, anything that stuck with you?
I guess for me, yeah, like just the amount that they all care about making this thing good.
Hmm.
And I think Francis even has a quote of just like, it's like you have to care more than anyone else about your movie. About and it goes like he has this like checklist in his brain that I don't know how he keeps a track of. That it's just like here's all of these different things down to the most minute detail, but he nails all of them. Um, and it goes for all of the producers doing their jobs, Matt, Atif, James, all doing what they're supposed to be doing. And yeah, it's I'm like Eric said, like every movie I've ever worked on, I'm like I can keep track of like a couple of them, and then everything else just goes to shit and goes out the window. So that was something that it's like, oh man, yeah, you really do have to be the one that you can't expect other people to give as much of a shit for you. Like you
Yeah,
have to do it yourself. So that's definitely something that stuck with me working on this.
that's awesome. I can't wait to see the full documentary. I'm so excited.
I can't wait either, dude.
Either can we, man.
Yeah. um, I use film as a way to connect with people. It's such a great way to like bridge the gap. And what is one film that each of you guys recommend to people that it's your go-to film that you use as a way for somebody to get to know you better, that you use as a way to connect with them? So what's one movie that you always recommend?
Bill
Okay,
and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That's
Ooh,
a good one.
Bill and Ted's. Mine's weird. I have started a cult of the movie Death Proof.
That
Uh,
movie's awesome.
it is my personal. It's like a weird one, but it is my personal favorite Tarantino movie. It's not his best, but is my favorite. And every new person that I meet that I'm like, okay, this person's going to be in my life for a while. I show it to them.
Yeah.
Eric is next on that list if he can handle it. It's a little scary. It's not really that scary,
It's
but
not
I
Is
that
think
Death
scary.
Proof the one that was like a double feature with Rodriguez?
Grindhouse,
Yeah.
yes, on
Okay,
Terror.
so I saw it in theaters.
Oh, nice, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome. Okay, well then I didn't have to show it to him, so it's fine.
I
But
should
yeah,
probably watch
dude,
it again, but yeah.
Death Proof. Also, I love The Shining, as you can tell from my
I was gonna ask about that. The Shining's so good.
like top 5 movies of mine.
I've seen that one too.
Well, there you go. I don't
Yeah.
see. I don't even have to do my job. It's fine. Everything's fine. There's a reason we're working on this movie together, I guess. But those would be my 2 probably.
Those are
And
awesome.
also American movie. Love American movie. Shout out to another great movie about making movies.
That's awesome. Those are all great choices.
Seth,
I
what is yours? What is yours?
mine is Halloween. It's like what
Oh,
got me into horror, and I just love that movie so much.
nice, dude. Is do you dig any of the sequels, or are you just like one
So
and
funny enough, Francis finally talked me into watching Season of the Witch.
Season of the Witch? He's got all the masks in his house.
I got him that
Yeah.
long sleeve like sweater. I don't know if you've seen him rocking it yet.
I haven't
The
seen it yet.
So I got him this like Season of the Witch like sweatshirt type deal. He loves it, which is great. But
I don't,
he got me to watch the movie, and I thought it was awesome.
dude. It's like a really cool, weird, like it's got a weird tone to it. It's got this weird made for TV thing
Yeah,
going to it, and it's kind of like, grimy in like a weird way, but it's just great.
it
Like,
is.
I love that it's just totally a punt from the rest of them. That John Carpenter originally was like, I'm not gonna, I don't do Michael Myers every time. Who cares? Let's just do this thing. And then they were like, we're gonna do Michael Myers every time.
It's great. I pretty much like all of the films. The only ones I really didn't like was the last 2 that we got. Those were
Dude,
not it.
I mean, I kind of, except for the scene with Jim Cummings in Halloween Kills.
Yep, that was great.
Shout out.
Shout out to Jim.
I never actually got to talk to him about that, dude. He's been killed. Well, he didn't get technically killed by Michael Myers, but he's killed by Michael Myers adjacent, which I think is
Hmm.
pretty rad. But yeah, man, I it's funny that you like all of the 4 through.
It gets so cheesy, but I
I
love
mean,
it.
I love Resurrection, don't get me wrong. I have like a soft spot for Trick or Treat Motherfucker.
Yeah,
But
I was gonna say Exhibit, right?
Busta Rhymes, I
Buster
think.
Rhymes. That's what. Yeah, Buster Rhymes. That scene's just a freaking spin kick to the face of Michael. Like
Fantastic. Fantastic.
incredible stuff.
Yes.
And Interstellar. Interstellar is another one. It's my
Oh,
favorite Nolan film.
dude. I mean, I think there's like that's his most human.
Hmm.
Oh, that and Memento, I think, are his 2 most like human movies. And I love, yeah, Interstellar's rad. Memento's my
Yeah.
favorite.
Eric, you've seen Interstellar, right? I hope.
Yeah, I've seen.
Thank God.
I'm a big Nolan fan, so I've seen all his movies.
There
It's
you go.
so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. I
Um,
I also Memento was like a big inspiration for me, and when I was like just starting to make movies. So then I
that's
was like, ooh, I gotta mess with time, and then all of those movies were horrible that I made.
I got
Like
to see all these films.
the ones in film school, and the teacher's like, dude, you get your head out of your ass and just make a normal movie. You gotta learn the rules before you break them, buddy.
Right, right. Wait, have you not seen Memento, Seth?
Oh no, no, I got to see Eric's movies that he's talking about. I've seen
Oh,
No, you
Memento.
don't.
oh,
No, you don't.
oh. Yeah, you probably need to skip those. You should just
Oh
watch
God.
Memento.
Brandon and I got drunk one night, and I showed him a few of them, and
Yeah, we watched some of our bad
they're
old
pretty
movies.
bad.
We went, why are we making movies together again? Like, I don't know if we should, I don't know if I trust this guy.
Honestly, I feel like time travel and like messing with time is like one of the hardest things to do in Hollywood because it gets confusing fast.
Dude,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, you can really mess it up. And it's already been done so perfectly that like you
Hmm.
have to do something different,
I couldn't do Tenet. It was too much.
I don't like talking about it.
Yeah, I
But
tried.
I think we all tried,
Yep.
and that's as
I kind
bad
of
as
liked it. I liked
okay.
Tenet.
Well, Eric's
There's Eric.
he's still up.
It-
No,
Still embarrassing myself.
It's
You know,
okay.
yeah,
I'm never gonna stop.
Listen. We still love you for it, Eric. Okay.
People
um.
first, movies second, right?
that's right.
Right.
Remember that.
What is one thing that you want people to know about this documentary? From each of you.
There's a Seed Spark campaign.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There's a Seed and Spark campaign. We are raising finishing funds, Go to Seedens or our Instagram page, Sell Your House, on Instagram. Sell Your House Film, I believe, on Instagram, and check it out. Go donate or show some love or follow on Seed and Spark or whatever, just check it out.
It's very, very honest.
It is
Uh,
honest.
it's like, um, it really is. Think, I think, I don't know. There's like yeah, it's just tries to be as honest as possible and raw. Um, it's just yeah. I mean, there's something that happens when one person uh follows people for a year or more, and has to do with access, has to do with trust, that has to do with people being people trusting you to protect them, you know? Like there's like if someone says something they shouldn't have said, say, whatever, like because you're kind of like hanging out at a certain point, right? So you speak differently when you're hanging out than when someone's filming you, but then when those lines get blurred, whatever. So people trust you and you really have a responsibility to protect them and but at the same time, uh, they've allowed us to show their horns and their halos, as Jim Cummings likes to say. Uh, and that's really brave of them, I think. So yeah.
That's awesome. Any last words for you, Brandon?
Uh, I think it's been crazy for me to kind of have fallen into this thing, having not, I wasn't on set, I wasn't following it from the beginning, but to fall into this thing and sort of see that it does feel special as far as like these making up things. It's not just, oh, whatever. It's like you get the feeling of like this battle that has from day one of them just trying to get this thing made. And it's been really cool to see that, the amount of love and support that Yuma has gotten and that it's gotten out there in a way that, not many movies, like it's been top 5 or 10 on iTunes for weeks now. And
Mm,
like, that is crazy. And, I don't think, uh, I don't think a movie like this, a documentary like this that has followed in this detail has been made, and I think it's really cool to see that, and that's props to Eric, I think, for being able to have followed it through that way. So I think that's just one thing. Everyone should give Eric a round of applause, even though the whole movie is making fun of him.
Here's my applause.
Boo.
No.
It's hard to wrap our heads around the fact that like most people heard about Francis and Last Stop and James and Local Boogeyman now because of the success of Last Stop in Yuma County. But I think people forget that it's hard for people to like see what their lives were before this.
Hmm.
Because it's like a lot has changed and like they're just normal people. Like just they literally like they just decided to do this thing together and they didn't have to. And they were just like they just live in the suburbs of Southern California and like they're not like I mean they're very, very talented people, but like that's not proved until you do something crazy like this. And it's really crazy that like especially James, like
Dude sold
that's
his house.
bonkers. He sold his house.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. And it's just so hard to like now that it's successful, it's like, oh yeah, well of course, like cool success story. Like everybody likes to talk about success stories, but like no one knew that this was going to be successful. In
Yep.
fact, the whole time they're like, this is probably not going to work, you know, but we're going to do it anyways because we love it and we believe in it. And I don't know, there's something about, I mean, it's an American Dream story. Uh, but I don't know. There's something below that sort of like sugar-coated surface level thing that they did something well, and it could be some kind of like roadmap for I don't know, for future projects, I think.
Yeah. And it's awesome. I mean, it couldn't have happened to a better group of people. And I think I don't know if you guys knew this, but when I met Francis at Fantastic Fest, he was the first interview I have ever done.
Oh
And
yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
And we like instantly hit it off. We talked about his movie collection and all his like his figures because I got mine back there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was in the room with you guys.
Yeah. We
I remember I was a little scared too because I didn't know if I was allowed to be in there. Like we I just kept I didn't buy like a pass. I didn't talk to Abra. I didn't like I just showed up at Fantastic Fest and I would just walk behind Francis or James and like I had that big, whatever, like
that big
medium-sized
rig.
camera. So they no one like one Fantastic Fest person walked over at one point and was like, "Oh, who are you?" Like he kind of like questioned me
Yeah.
and then saw my camera and then saw this hat, which I was like kind of using as a pass, right? And but anyways, I like just walked into that room and me and Francis were, I was like, dude, am I allowed to be in here? He's like, I don't know.
I actually remember that because I remember you came in, sat down, and I was like, I was terrified because, like I said, like this was my first ever interview. I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm
Now
doing.
now you're being filmed by like a whole nother thing that you have
Yeah.
no idea what I'm gonna do with that footage.
And Staley was freaking phenomenal. I love Staley too. Like
Dude,
we
Steelers the
became
best.
friends that weekend too. Like honestly, that like this whole group of people is so amazing, and I want nothing but the best for all of you guys.
Thanks, Seth. Dude, you're the nicest man. You're a very sweet, awesome person. Thank you.
You're a part of this story, dude. You're a part of the tale.
I know it's so awesome.
Yeah, you've been absorbed into the family.
Yeah, dude. You're in it.
Well, thank you guys.
So
I'm
sorry.
no, it's fine.
If
That'll be
I
my selling point. I'm in a movie, guys. I'm famous.
Yeah, dude, we'll give you a pop. You got to give us all your every time you're on screen, we'll give you a little lower third that's got all your ats and everything. So
Perfect.
pops all around.
And
Well,
unfortunately, Brandon says that, but he's going to put it in, and the next day he's going to change it to a bunch of jokes and
right.
like
No, 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 no. I don't.
insults.
I just do that to
All
Eric.
of them.
Just
I
Eric.
mean, it's everybody.
No,
I'm gonna
Don't
have like
listen
a
to. Don't trust this guy, man.
yeah.
Like you can't give him your footage. Like he'll start fucking with you. It's
In the footage, I'm gonna see like those like in like cartoons where you have like the cloud thought show
little
up.
thought bubble.
Yeah, the little thought bubble. It's gonna be like, what am I doing here?
Sure. Hey, you're giving me permission to do that right now, so I'm gonna
Hey,
take it and run with it.
I
make it
mean,
funny
like
at least.
immediately, like the right when Brandon started putting like lower thirds and stuff like that, it's like for example, the first thing I laughed at that Brandon did was James Clay's human coloring book because of all his tattoos. I'm like, that's great,
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was my claim to
And they
fame.
change every week too. That's the
They
best
do.
thing. Every time
Always.
I'm like, I feel what do you do? Like are you just like looking through the footage and then you
Yeah.
get like
If I look at something for too long, I'm like, that's not funny anymore. This has to change to something that if it makes me laugh that day, that it's good. And then tomorrow it doesn't matter. It
he
might
doesn't
change.
even tell me he's doing this, by the way. It
No,
just
Right.
like
He just
text
does
just
no,
changes, and I'm
it
like,
doesn't
where did that
matter.
come from?
Don't worry about it.
it. You're like looking at it. It's like, what happened to the last words? I really like
Yeah.
those.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
when entire scenes start disappearing, that's when I know that
that's when
things
I
have
have to
gotten
give him a
too
call.
far.
Yeah.
And they do, and they do. So
There's a note in one of our like edit sessions, like our paper cut right now that says, "Don't change things just to change things,
stop
Brandon."
changing shit for the sake of it. Whatever, man. Whatever.
It's
Fine.
most of the time it's good, so
No, no.
this is a good
We made
problem
a
to
lot
have.
of different movies at this point in our one movie that we're making. But that's what
Yeah,
you
we're
have
gonna
to
make a
do,
bunch
right?
more.
Yeah, you just gotta keep experimenting. So
Well,
hopefully the last one is good.
it will be good, and I can't wait for everybody to see it. And I appreciate you guys joining me today.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you,
having
Seth.
us.
Eric, you have to send us off since Brandon brought us in.
Oh shit, dude, you can't. That's hard for me. All right, guys, this has been According to Seth. Thanks for joining us.